When I started the channel, there was a different culture. It was a left-leaning culture, and feminism was in vogue. And feminism had like these bizarre words that it used in order to manipulate the culture. Like, for instance, you would have a woman saying some of the most batshit, insane, crazy things. And if you contradicted her, she would say that you're mansplaining and you're being misogynistic. Even though you are contradicting her arguments, other people would shut you up. Like an army of simps would try to get you canceled just because you're contradicting her. And of course, like this was beneficial for the Democrats because at the time Hillary Clinton was at the helm. So like if you contradicted Hillary Clinton's economic policies, you were part of a basket of deplorables of misogynistic men that just don't want her to have a chance at leading the nation. And my God, like the culture was absolutely batshit insane. Like hashtag yes all men was trending on Twitter, where you had a lot of women claiming that all men are rapists. Like yes, every single one. And if you deny that, you're a rape apologist. And if you're a woman and you deny that, you have internalized misogyny. And you had CNN have interviews such as air conditionings are sexist. Like on primetime news, they would publish this absolute insanity. So when we're looking back at it now, it seems like people went absolutely insane. Like they were absolutely crazy. But then you realize that things got even worse. During the Me Too movement, for instance, like a single accusation was enough to destroy someone's livelihood. And this is what I was doing at the time. I was reading news articles that were absolutely insane. Like there was this university where a university assistant had sex with a member of the football team. And they were both over the age of 18. They were all of age, like there was consent there. But she told a friend that she felt bad about it afterwards. Because she was in another relationship and she just, she regrets having sex. Like when she saw the guy, she got horny and they hit it off and it was consensual, but she regrets it afterwards. And what's ended up happening is that her friend files a complaint with the university towards the football player, and the football player gets sacked from the university. Like the quote-unquote alleged victim herself didn't file the complaint. But it ended up ruining that man's life. And you're looking at that culture and it's like, dude, that is beyond insane. But it seems like this is normal for the United States. Like they always have like these very bizarre moral panics that for the rest of the world baffle us when the moral panic goes away. But while the moral panic is happening, like people actually partake in it, believe in it, and they prosecute the people that try to fight against it. The satanic panic is one of the ones that were the initial ones that I remember, where you had like pastors, televangelists they were called, and they were talking about how Pokemon is teaching children how to channel magical energies and how they're demonic pocket monsters. Like, why would anyone want a monster in their pocket? And it's teaching children these awful values. And it's like, again, like during the moral panic, if you're trying to fight against it, they will consider you part of the problem as advocating for that. If you're fighting against feminism, you're advocating for rape culture. If you're fighting against the pandemic measures, they're calling you a crazy conspiracy theorist working for Putin. Like they always have like something against the person fighting against. So it takes us to the recent moral panic, which is that of pronouns and gender. Like this was at such a peak that it almost became like an American religion, to the point where you had VTubers who wanted to play a game made by, well, not even made by J.K. Rowling, but in the universe of J.K. Rowling, a Harry Potter game. And unhinged lunatics on social media started doxing the VTubers, threatening them, trying to get them fired just for trying to play the game. Like, this is the level of insanity we were at. And any type of pushback against the pronoun hysteria would be met with censorship, with attempts of ruining the person's life. And now we're going to witness the backlash. And, the start of it, I think, is reasonable because a lot of individuals just flat out refuse to understand that when you try abolishing male and female from the government legal framework, and you're trying to replace it with patent 1 and patent 2 and force your ideological language in it, it actually has legal consequences. Like, there's already a consequence in Switzerland where there is a law that women can retire earlier than men. Now, I disagree with the law because it's not equal, but whatever. There's a man that transitioned specifically to benefit from early retirement. Like, he's not a person that believes they're a woman or anything like that. It's just that, well, if the law allows him, why not? And I know similar situations in the United States, in California. There's another content creator. I don't know if he's streaming on YouTube, but his name is Turd Flinging Monkey. And he realized that as a man, as a cisgender straight man in California back in 2018, 2019, you get absolutely no protections. And he's right, because I also spoke with another subscriber, and he went out with his colleagues for a night out. Like, they went drinking. And his name is Alex. And the boss, he was drunk, told Alex that, look, I'm so glad I hired you. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Well, you're a very skilled employer. You're spending overtime. You're you're doing a lot for the company. And the only reason I hired you is because I thought you're a woman. Because Alex is, like, when I read Alex, I thought it's a girl's name. Now, if you were to tell that to a woman, that would be a discrimination lawsuit. Like, at the time, you could get the media, you could actually sue, like, it would be a big scandal. But, like, he realized that a straight cisgender man, like, he's got absolutely no NGO, no activist group. None of the media would care about his story. And so, just like Third Flinging Monkey, Alex decided to become a woman. And now, if she gets any type of discrimination, well, now she has activist groups. Now the media did care about it. They probably won't care about it now because the culture is changing, but that's what a lot of men did. A lot of dishonest men. And this is like the story of, them using the legal framework to get a little bit extra protection. But there are cases of perverts and criminals that did the same thing. Because, again, the law just said, like, as long as you identify as, you don't have to prove anything else, right? Like, you don't need a doctor's note, you don't need anything. It's just you claim you are, and you get an ID, and there you are, you've became. And so there are cases with perverts that, became women for two reasons. Like, number one, to be able to access women's spaces. And it's like this... It's not necessarily to, like, watch what other women do, but, like, for other women to be able to see their penises. Like, there have been so many articles where, women went to a gym, like a woman-only gym or a bath or something, and they saw a man in a bathrobe, and then they have a penis, and when they went to file a complaint, the gym sided with the man and said, well, no, that's not a man, that's a woman, and she has a penis, and you gotta deal with it, you fucking bigot. And that happened recently. That happened, like, last year, right? Like, Libs of TikTok was talking about it. So, like, you have people that may be disingenuous. Like, they may not transition. They may not be interested in changing their gender. Well, what they're interested in is in muscling through women's spaces and showing, like, look, I can do it. But then you also have people that want to go to a woman's prison or a woman's shelter or something like that. And again, like, the law has absolute no safeguards. Because usually the argument is like, well, who want to do it? Well, a person that doesn't have the honor, obviously. Like a very dishonorable person, a dredge of society. Well, he can do it if he wants to because there is no safeguard against what he would do, right? So, like, there are cases where a person that claimed to be a woman got placed in a woman's prison, and then the women in that prison started becoming pregnant. And then they moved him, and it's like, well, what changed? I mean, if we are going to assume that women can have penises, why can't we assume that, women can get other women pregnant? And it seems like this moral panic is about to end, at least at the legal level. And this is, like, one of the main problems that right-wingers had. It's like, look, if you want to change your personality, because at the end of the day, you want to say that gender is whatever a person says they are that day. Like, that was pretty much where the ideology was going. And you want to be, like dress with feminine clothing, and you want to behave in a feminine way, and that's on you. Like, you're allowed to do that. If you want to associate with other people that also want to do that, or want to recognize that your pronouns are valid, like that's on you. But the problem is when you're forcing other people to recognize things with the threat of them getting fired or canceled if they don't make those recognitions. That's the issue, because now you're enforcing your belief system and value system on others. Right? So it's interesting because most of these individuals, they also happen to be some version of Marxism, or they're atheists at least. And they're fine with other Christians if they keep religion to themselves, right? Like, if I'm like, look, I'm a Christian, and while I'm in public and talking to you, like, I'm not trying to convince you to go to church. I'm not trying to convince you to live a moral Christian lifestyle. Like, I leave you alone, right? Like, my Christianity is between me, God, and my family. Like, they're fine with this level of Christian. But the moment you start, like, preaching the Bible at them, the moment you start lecturing them, they freak out. And they understand, like, why that is a problem. But for some reason, they expect that they don't empathize with other people who may view the same thing about them. Like, if you have your values and your way of life and you keep it to yourself, like, that's one thing. But, like, when you're forcing others to partake in your lifestyle, that's the issue. And this is why you get the pushback. And I think, like, the pushback is just the beginning, because they usually, like, the pushback, the thing with being maintained by force is kind of like putting your thumb on a spring, right? Like, you're suppressing the spring. But the problem is, like, the more lower you push, the more suppression. Eventually, when the thumb goes up, the spring will bounce. And it will bounce as high as you pressed it. With this one, I think it was pressed pretty hard. And the backlash that we're going to see during the Trump administration, I feel that this is just the beginning. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.